1 hour 16, and Chocolate has an 45 something. So yeah, not as close, but probably we're most likely to see a PB. I just hope so. So we are just starting then with the race. So yeah, in the prologue we are constantly jumping because whenever we jump we get pushed, like we get a little bit of momentum, and we can save 1 second throughout this entire prologue.
I thought it was
That's
2.
the reason why we're constantly 2. I heard about 1, but probably 2. So yeah, the prologue is just there to teach us every game mechanic like dashing, jumping, and climbing.
Even though they technically don't teach you about half the game mechanics until the bonus content.
Yeah. So that's it with the prologue. And you see already a slight difference between both runners.
So if you couldn't tell, this is obviously a fighting game. But
Why do
for
you
real,
think so?
This is a platformer.
So yeah, entering chapter 1, do you want to go really quick over all the different speed mechanics we are using? Like hyperdashing and stuff?
So you got the normal dash, which doesn't really do much. Then we have hyperdashing, where isn't that where you jump on, like, you dash towards the ground, and then, like, it gives you a lot of speed. And if you jump late enough, it will refresh your dash.
Yeah, and combining all these techniques, we can, like, you can be very fast throughout these entire screens. And yeah, you have to use them intelligently. There's also a technique called dash jump, which is a little bit slower than a hyper, but you get more height of it. So there are sometimes you want to use a dash jump instead of a hyper because you want more, you want a little bit more height. So yeah, you just see in chapter 1 they are constantly using these different techniques to get through the screens very fast. Yeah, Wormham is actually going for some really, like, more advanced threats for his 1 hour 16. I'm very impressed by him so far.
I do those strats too, and I've got a 101.
Yeah, I just started with them too, but I cut off some, like, out of my strat whatever thing, because I felt more comfortable going for a safer one. So yeah, meanwhile Chocolate finished chapter 1, entering chapter 2 where dream blocks going to appear. Can you explain really quick what dream blocks are for our lovely chat?
Ooh, dream blocks. At the beginning here, they're going to be solid and you can't really do anything with them. But once we activate a cutscene and go into the dream state, I guess, you'll then be able to dash through them and keep all of your momentum. After that, you can jump out of them with a dash. You can also do some other stuff with them, but we aren't going to use that till later. So I guess we can explain that later.
Yeah, so technically what dream blocks make, they make this already fast-paced game even more fast-paced. You see them constantly dashing through dream blocks and dashing afterwards and stuff. So yeah, the game starts to get faster and faster in this chapter. But yeah, dream blocks is probably one of the most loved techniques in the game. Let's be honest. It just feels so cool to move through them.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, both players now in chapter 2, only a little bit apart from each other. And yeah, there is Battleon. So Battleon is our other, it's another part from us. Like Battleon is our good side, you can say, and Battleon is our more bad side, but not evil, really. And she is chasing us with an, I think, 5 or 6 seconds delay.
It's
3,
3
okay.
seconds.
So I never know the exact time, but somebody told me 6 or 5. That's why I get stuck on that. And yeah, she's like doing the exact same movement we are doing. So
3.
yeah, you gotta be aware. of what you do. And meanwhile, Chocolat is going for more safer strats. Very interesting. I think he knows the PD of Wormhand, so that's why he probably thinks, yeah, I should go for more safer strats. But we will see. Maybe
they're actually like, very close.
Yeah, in terms of their PB, they are very close. Unfortunate death there on the right screen. Costs a lot of time. This is one of the longest screens in this chapter. Now he's going on the safer road.
I don't blame him. That's a really hard trick to do.
Yeah, you gotta do some really fast inputs to get that room correctly done. Or that strat correctly done. So yeah, he's just finishing the Battle-In section.
Or the Dream section.
Yeah, the Dream section. And now he's at like, this part gets very advanced later. Like, you have to get through this room a second time, or through these rooms a second time, but without the dream blocks.
And now he's in the Awake section.
So, yeah, you see the similarity, like it's the same part of the game, but now without dream blocks. And this part is very technical, like you can't die here, but going through these screens very fast is actually really hard, because there are springs in your way and some corners you can get stuck on. So, between a very good runner and just an average runner, there are probably more than 10 seconds apart from each other just on optimization, these through rooms. And yeah, he just finished chapter 2. 8 deaths is a little more than normal, but so far it's working out for him. So chapter 3, can you explain what cycles are in this game, or what cycles are in this chapter?
So there's these things called dust bunnies, like those red things right there, and they work on cycles. So every time you enter the room, they're in a set position, and they will move in either a circle or a line on a timer throughout that room. Then you can also die, which will put the cycles, I think it's like halfway through the cycle forward, and we call that the death cycle.
Yeah.
So if you are very prone to dying in this area, you have to learn both cycles.
Yeah, just as a backup.
I mean, you should learn them both anyways.
Yeah. Some people got stuck on, like, when you just learned the transition cycle, die on a room and have no idea how to do the death cycle, you can get really frustrated and die just a lot of stupid deaths, let's be honest.
In my PV, it was actually during my tournament match. I think I lost like 3 minutes on the last room of the chapter.
Yeah, later rooms of this chapter are very crucial.
From just dying over and over again.
Yeah, staying focused is also a big part of this game. Like, you're always under pressure and always fast-paced stuff is going on, so yeah, staying focused is also really hard. Like, you need to master it if you want to have success in a speedrun. Like, success in terms of getting into the big places, like top 10 or whatever. So yes, you also see they have to collect certain keys to get even further into this chapter. And one interesting thing about keys we're going to see 2 times in this run is once you collect the key and you die, the key stays with you. And later on we have used this fact and collect the key and reset the room, because it's faster to reset the room instead of going back the casual way. And now Chocolat is at the big mess section, and technically it means we have to clean up the hotel and have to get through 3 different separated sections. And once we get through them, there at the end of each section there's like a switch we have to touch or activate, and that cleans up each individual part. So we are now in the box section on the right screen, and once we've done it, we removed every box from the hotel, which means the other sections have no longer boxes in, and make them sometimes easier or sometimes harder. Like, from a casual playthrough, some rooms might look a little bit different than you see them in a speedrun.
In my casual playthrough, I did like a weird order, and I made one of the rooms so hard. I think it took me like 10 minutes just to get through the one room.
Yeah,
like,
in the
not
book
even the whole section, just the room.
Yeah, in the book section there's one room. If you do the towel section before that, there are no tiles laid down there, and you
I
have to do a
think
very
that's
weird
what I
thing.
did.
Yeah, that's what I did
Untitled
too, and I got stuck there very long. We will see it very soon, like I think 4 or 5 rooms away from now on Traveler's screen. Meanwhile, Warmham is also in the big mess section. He's just starting it. And one thing about this room Warmham is in, it's not that hard, you can't die, but going through these tight corridors is very hard. To go fast, not to go through. Like, to go through, you just have to climb and jump and dash, but to go through fast, you can save or lose there a lot of time. Depends on how optimized you are.
This is the first time we are forced to encounter Theo, who will cause a lot of trouble later.
Yeah, so Theo is technically, story-wise, a friend we met through while we were climbing this mountain, and he has like a little adventure with us while we are climbing the mountain. But in the speedrun we just see him like once. Normally you have very neat dialogues with him, but we don't need dialogues in the speedrun. But yeah, later on there's a very unique gameplay section with Theo.
Unique and stupid, but unique.
Yeah, we will cover that later. So Chocolate finished the big mass section, all for this one key in the middle to get even further in this chapter. Now he's just finishing the hotel itself. Like, the last couple rooms are a little bit more technical or more harder, you have to do more speed tech. Yeah, but the crazy part about this chapter will start a little bit later. So, depends on their PB, they are not too far apart from each other, which is very interesting, but I think Chocolate will get ahead in the late game, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Because late game will like kill most times for new runners, because late game is so harder to optimize. So there, on Chocolate's screen, he has to do 4 hypers right away. But he's having a hard time. And once he got the key, he's going to reset the room because the key stays with you, as we mentioned.
He probably knows he's ahead, so he's going for it multiple times. And there, he got it. Looks super cool.
Yeah, it's a more cool looking technique or trick or threat. It's kind of hard to get the timing down in the first place, but once you got it, you technically, like, as an average player, you get it like every 1 out of 3 attempts at least. And he had a little bit of struggle there, so yeah. Now he's at the Oshiro section. Do you want to explain the Oshiro section? Because you love it, I think. Wait, did you say no?
I said no. So,
Okay.
this part is probably... It's definitely my least favorite section of the chapter. So, Oshiro will go up and down, trying to lock on your position. Then he will shoot a lightning bolt and dash towards you. Then, combined with the dust bunnies all over the place and the hard platforming, it can get very stressful.
Yeah, also you gotta know, to optimize these rooms is very hard because you have also to manipulate more or less Oshiro on where he charges at you, so every slight difference between the optimized threat and what you actually have done messes up Oshiro, which messes up this entire chapter. So Chocolate finished this chapter with 7 minutes. Let's be honest, that's kind of slow for his PB, I guess. I think his PB is probably 2 minutes faster or something.
Yeah.
He's taking it safe, so it's okay. Now chapter 4. Every chapter has its own unique mechanics, and chapter 4 adds these clouds that work like a trampoline. Once you are on them and time your jump right, you can get extra height. Then there are these bubbles. They are like an additional dash in the air, and you get your dash back. And then then there's wind we just see, which is pushing you either backwards or forwards. And yeah,
For now.
For a casual player, it's more of an annoying part of the game, but in the speedrun we have all these movement techniques like hyper and stuff to get through this room relatively quickly. But in the casual playthrough, it's very annoying, this wind. Yeah, Chocolate is trying to skip this room. Okay, he's not trying to skip this room. He's going the very casual thread. He tried, okay. I just was not looking at. Yeah, you also see those moving blocks. That's another new mechanic. Either when you stand on them or touch them, they begin to move, but they are very slow. In a casual playthrough, they are more or less an auto-scroller. In a speedrun, you can skip most of them, but they're sometimes really hard to skip, so Chocolat is just taking it very safe. And yeah. Meanwhile, Wormham has a hard time with Oshiro, and there we see how tough he can be to deal with. But there he goes. Like, there are two very long rooms in the Oshiro section. If you die there on the end, it's tough.
That's the main reason why I lost time on the last room, because I died, well, repeatedly at the beginning, and then, like, the first time I think I had died, like, at the very end. Then it was a bunch of, like, early on deaths, because I was frustrated. And that's actually very common.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, as you mentioned, newer players have a harder time with Oshiro than, like, older runners. Like, more experienced runners. Because Oshiro is so much different, because you don't have to look on your own movement, you also have to look on Oshiro and the room itself, and it's like too much for most of the newer runners to deal with right away.
Both runners in Chapter 4.
Yeah. Chocolate with a decent lead, but that's okay. Like, as we mentioned, their PB is very apart from each other. But yeah, Chocolate is taking it very, very safe. Like, I don't think he will PB in this run, but maybe Wormham will PB.
Coming up soon is everybody's favorite mechanic.
Do you mean snowballs?
Yep.
Okay, so let's explain snowballs real quick. Do you wanna do it, or should I?
Yep. I've done all the explaining. You can do this one.
Okay, so snowballs are more or less like Oshiro. Like, they also track your height, and after a certain amount of time, they will get launched at you. But you don't see where they will get launched, like where their current position is. You just see them all of a sudden. And yeah, good runners, as we already mentioned, can manipulate them if they want to. Like, it's very likely that they never get the snowballs into their way. But for newer runners, it's very annoying to deal with them. You can jump off of them to get your dash back. You can get sometimes very lucky moments with that. But normally you want to avoid them. Like, their hitbox is very weird looking, let's be honest. Sometimes you jump off of them if you think you would get hit, and the other way around. So yeah, he just finished this chapter with sub 5 minutes. It's okay for his safe
5 is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think
Why am I
like,
going to that auto-scroller skip right there?
World record IL is like, I think, below 3 minutes, but yeah, for safe sweats, sub 4 minutes is very good. Sub 5 minutes is very good. So yeah, now in the Mirror Temple, there are also new game mechanics. There are those dash blocks. They move whenever you dash. Seems logical. And there are those red bubbles. And They're like green bubbles. They launch you towards whatever direction you are pressing. But they launches you infinitely. So until you hit a wall, get into another bubble, or hit a spike, get hit by an enemy, or you dash out of them, they just launch infinitely. So they also launch through screen transitions, which is for a casual playthrough very like interesting and needed, but in a speedrun I think we never really used that.
We use it like 2 times when it's required.
Yeah, just think about one thing if you don't go for key skip later on, but yeah, we'll see maybe. So yeah, Mirror Temple is very dark. You have to know the layout of Mirror Temple as a more advanced runner, let's be honest. And yeah, Shockkolate is going for a very weird route in this room. I never saw that route. There he goes for key skip. Like, it's not really a hard skip. It's just like compared to the casual strat, you normally have to get a key, but when you get to this secret bubble he just got, you can literally skip that key and save a lot of time. It's not very hard to get because it's made for the player to find, but it's very well hidden, so I think most players didn't find it in their casual playthrough.
I had to look at the video for it when I was searching for all of the... when I was going for 100%, which I technically still am, but... Ooh, Shockkolate retrying instead of skipping the cutscene.
Yeah, that sometimes happens. Like, yeah, it's an unfortunate death. Like, that's... he was close to do it again. So yeah, Warmham is going for some really crazy strats. I'm really impressed by this new player. So once he get more consistent with his strats, he can definitely be in sub 45 territory, or even faster. So yeah, Shockkolate is now in the mirror, and we just saw the Seekers, so let's talk about Seekers real quick.
So Seekers, they're very annoying because they have a dash like Madeline's, except like they can go like halfway across the room with it, and they will lock onto your position once they see you. We can use them to like activate the keys and, well, the door switches, whatever they're called, and break these red blocks here.
Yeah, but they are by no means random. There's no randomness included in this game. So yeah, you can also manipulate them and use them to your advantage, as Diamond Crafter mentioned. But yeah, overall, for newer runners they are tough to deal with. For more experienced runners, once you get it right, once you get it done correctly, you can save a lot of time with good Seeker stuff and techniques, whatever. Like using them towards your advantage can save a lot of time sometimes. So yeah, coming up on Shockolate's screen is the search skip, which is probably which is the biggest sequence break in the game. Normally you have to get 2 keys in this big dark room. You have to search for them very long to get over this really big gap with a bubble. But we just can do this and get through it. So what he technically does there was an extended backwards dash jump. Backwards means now if he can't do a normal extended dash jump because there's a corner which stops his momentum, so we have to do a backwards one. And extended just means that you keep your dash to dash after you jump one more time to get over that gap, and it saves a solid amount of minutes. Like, depends on your skill, like probably 2 to 3 or even more. Like, yeah, it's the biggest skip. You definitely want to learn it if you want to speedrun this game, but it's definitely not that hard. Even though the name of it sounds very crazy, it's not that hard of a trick. It's probably the easiest. So yeah, field section. Your favorite part, I have heard. Want to explain a little bit?
So with Theo, you cannot dash, which casually makes this part probably one of the worst parts of the game. But what we can do is we can throw Theo, dash into him, pick him up again, and we will retain all our momentum.
Yeah, like field movement is a different world, let's be honest. Like, normally you move super fast, even as a new runner. You get more comfortable with hypers and stuff. And then you have feel all of a sudden in your hands and you feel like, how to move fast again in this game? It's very difficult, but you can also do some crazy things, like watch the taskbar if you want to see some crazy strats with feel, because movement with feel is very interesting. But yeah, we just have to carry him through this entire section. He can block sometimes these monsters from hitting us. Yeah, newer runners are actually doing some fun things with Theo just randomly. But yeah, so far pretty good for Chocolate, this Theo section. Meanwhile, Warm Ham is also in the mirror. Still, he's on a really good pace for 116. Like, with his strats he's doing, I was probably thinking he's on a, like, the strats itself, I was thinking he's on a 40 something, like above 45, but yeah, something like that. But with his like general movement speed, I was thinking he's on a 50, 55, but actually he's on a 160, so he's very impressive when you think about his PB.
In the last stream of Chapter 5, you have this eyeball that, like, there's, I don't know, like, shoots pulses at you or something.
Yeah, it's like a big wave. And it launches you back, but you can dash through them. But it's very hard to get through it. So now, feathers in Chapter 6, you can fly through the air, as you see on Chocolate's screen. And you can dash out of them.
Coming up here, we have Lake Skip. I don't exactly know how it works.
So, technically what you're doing, you do there and wall bounce out of the water, and that keeps your dash. And then you do the spike jump up there, and after the spike jump you dash up again and you're done. So let's go really quick over wall bounces and spike jumps. So wall bounce is when you dash upwards and then wall jump. You keep your momentum of your dash, so you gain way more height. And a spike jump, so you can technically jump off a wall with spikes, but you're not jumping off the spikes, you're jumping off the wall behind it. As long as you're moving away from the wall. So yeah, spikes only have a hitbox when you're moving towards them. So by moving away from them, they have no hitbox, so we can technically jump from the wall behind of them. It's very weird, and you definitely have to like do it yourself if you want to understand it more. Technically, just like a good advice for spike jumping is just think about it that there are no spikes and you have to do some like weird moving away jump off a wall, and then you can do it. I'm really bad at explaining it, let's be honest. So now there are this, and Chocolate is on this two path part. So you have two paths, upper and bottom path. Some rooms are faster, some rooms are slower, as normal, but you can choose whatever route you feel more comfortable with. Like there can be some huge difference between runners.
We should also probably explain the Kevin blocks.
And the bumpers, so can you do this really quick? I have to figure out something really quick.
Okay, so the Kevin blocks, technically, aren't they called Crusher blocks? But we named them Kevin blocks after the guy who made the audio for them, who is obviously named Kevin. So what they do is, you see the blue spots on them, you can dash into them, and then the Kevin block will dash that way until it hits a wall, like a solid wall that it can't break through. So for the bumpers, basically you run into them and they will shoot you a direction. Ooh, chocolate going through the bottom. Anyway, once, like, before you bounce off the bumpers, if you hold the opposite direction, you can go, I think it's double the length that you would normally go. Chocolate having a little bit of trouble here with feathers.
So yeah, Chocolate is now entering the second half of this chapter, which is like the Battling part of it. So you see these pink, actually purple hair. That's the hair of Battling. Battling we saw in chapter 2. We saw the entire game throughout for story and stuff. And yeah, we are technically not yet chasing her, but we are about to chasing her because we have to talk with her and try to team up with her. If you want to know more about this story-wise, just play the game yourself. It's a very good game. But yeah, we're not going to spoil or anything like that more. So yeah.
So, Battle, I did not want to compromise the thoughts about what we were talking about. So, now we have to slap her in the face a few times.
Yeah.
And by a few, I mean, like, what, 30?
I think
I haven't taken the time to count.
I have heard it's 20 times, but the numbers really doesn't matter. You just have to get to her, reach her as fast as possible, and she gets into a new position or into the next room. That's all about it. Meanwhile, Warham finishing chapter 5.
Chapter 6.
Yeah, we're talking about the same thing. And yeah, Battling is trying to prevent us from doing so with shooting stuff at us, shooting a laser at us, or the room itself is just in the way. Casually is a very epic part, and the speedrun is also very epic, but we just want to get through it actually very fast, so we can't feel that epicness that much. If that makes sense, I have no idea how to pronounce that differently. So yeah, Chocolate is doing a good job so far on this fight. Once you learn the speed threads for it, it's actually got easier for me once I've learned it. because if you don't learn the strats for it, you kind of have to deal with this fight on a very like improvisation way. But once you learn the speed strats, they are very consistent, most of it, or at least the one I learned. And yeah, the fight is actually, but it's still very cool to watch and cool to execute. Yeah, it's always the same once you get it done right, but it feels always amazing, no matter how often you have done it.
One ham struggling a little bit with trying to knock that block down before the Kevin block gets there.
Yeah, as I already mentioned a ton of times, I don't know why he's going for such crazy strats and why he's resetting now.
Doesn't he know that like you can just get back on it and like hit the block again?
Yeah, I'm a little bit curious about this runner, but if that's his way to play the game, it's all fine. You can approach this speedrun in many different ways. Like, we have some runners who actually don't really know some speed strats, but go
that
for
was me back before I actually
but go for very safe strats. Like, as far as I know, there's some runner called Andy Perfect, and in his PB he is a 47 something. He don't know that many speed strats, but he only has 4 deaths, so that's why his PB is so good, even though he don't use that many speed strats. So yeah, and then are some runners like Wormham, who's going from the very beginning for some crazy strats. Meanwhile, shockkolate level up, teamed up with Battlein. So now we have 2 dashes, which is going to be very interesting in the chapter 7, which is the final chapter of the game.
So then 9-12 reflection. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, reflection is a more harder to optimize chapter, as far as I know. So yeah, what did you say? Sub 9?
That was 9-12, I think.
Yeah, it's still decent. Let's be honest.
I can usually get a high 10, low 11, so like that's pretty good for his, like, that's pretty bad for what he would probably get if this was a reset run, but like in a tournament match, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he's just taking the safe route, probably because his opponent is a less experienced runner, so that's all right.
So in chapter 7, you kind of have a recap of the previous 6 chapters. So 0 meters is reflection because you get knocked down to the bottom of the mountain, therefore it's the lowest point. Then for 500 meters we have chapter 1, so we will see the what are they called again?
Forsaken City. Oh, do you mean the blocks? The zippers.
Yeah, so we see the At least that's what I've heard them be referred to.
I think your mic got cut off. In the middle of your sentence.
Great.
Like I think you were explaining the zippers, and in the middle of your sentence you got cut off.
So let me just explain all of that again. So in the chapter 1 section we see the zippers again. Then in chapter 2 we see the dream blocks again. We can with the 2 dashes, we can now, well, we could earlier, but now we can use some hypers out of them. It's a really tight frame window, but it does save time now that we have 2 dashes.
Yeah, also Dream Blocks with 2 dashes means literally that you're constantly dashing, which is very fast gameplay. Like, even for casual players, this section is very fast play. And very cool to play, like probably the most loved section in the entire game by the community. Meanwhile, Wormhammer is only 2 rooms away from the battle and fight to start, and yeah, for his 116 he's on a really good pace. Hopefully we'll get a PB. I don't think Shockkolate will get an PB because he plays a very safe route, but yeah, I don't think so really, but we don't wanna like curse it. Maybe
commentators curse
something really crazy. Yeah. I commentator cursed so many people already, I'm so sorry.
That's like one of my biggest fears about commentating.
Yeah, I just, when you commentator curse somebody the first time, you think like, oh, I'm so sorry. But yeah, now at the 1500 meter section of Shockkolate screen, which is the revisitation of the hotel, which is probably the hardest part in the entire game.
I hate this fight so much.
Yeah, there are 2 very long screens, there are dust bunnies all over the place. If you die there, you lose a lot of time. Very precise movement, even with easier strats. It's just hard. Once you, when you play the game casually, you will remember these rooms a pretty long time, just of how hard they are.
So, at the end of each section, you see Battleline in an orb. Basically, she, like, once you run into the orb, she'll throw you up and refresh your dash. So, that's another aspect of teamwork.
Yeah, that's a more interesting or more essential part of the story, but in the speedrun, it's just get to battle and get launched up and go on. But in the story, like the story is very good, well written. Let's be honest, and just play the game. I have to point it out like a billion times during commentary because there are 2 less people who played the game yet. Like everybody in the world should play this game. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a great game.
So yeah, meanwhile, there are these auto-scroller blocks, and I think Shockkolate is not going to skip these.
Nope.
These skips are very hard, and I don't blame him for not going for it. Because, yeah, as I said, these skips are very hard to perform. And in the tournament, with maybe a little bit of stress,
judging by the stats that Wormhammer has been going for, I wouldn't be surprised if he went for them, or for it.
That would surprise me so much. Like, a strat like that shouldn't be the last thing you worry about with a time of 160. But yeah, this guy is crazy with strats so far. So let's just watch him.
Like,
I hope we can get an interview with him.
But like, I'm probably like gonna stay away from that for a while.
Yeah, I think most new runners some are going for very safe strats and dying less, but some are going for like strats you probably will see in sub 40 runs, and when it works out for them, then it's great. Let's be honest.
But the problem with my runs, like if I think about it, is that I die in stupid places.
Yeah. Yeah, getting consistent is the harder part about speedrunning this game. But yeah, there's no RNG, so once you get consistent, you will see immediately improvement of your PvE. Like, this game feels really nice when you get improved, because you have sudden improvement of your time.
Chocolate, not going for the key skip. What is this one called?
Yeah, no, that's just called key skip. As far as
There's
I know,
too
the
many
other
things with really similar names.
Yeah, like the other thing you might think of is called surf skip. For the most part of the community, I just like to call it mirror skip. That you'd skip in the mirror temple. And yeah, the upcoming, like in 2 rooms, there's a trick called door skip. I don't think Chocolate will go for it, but no, he
is going for it, and he got the first one.
So now he has to continue it. Wow. Okay, so that saves technically a second or 2, and it's more a meme in the community. But if you get it done, you save time, so why not going for it?
You save like 9 years. It's insane.
Yeah, that. Okay, let's go on. Warham is now entering Chapter 7. Meanwhile, Chocolate is entering the summit. Like 3,000 meters. Yeah, the summit is the entire chapter. And yeah, 3,000 meters is like the final stretch. 30 flags till the end.
The flags.
These flags are now checkpoints. Yeah, let's talk about checkpoints. Like, go ahead.
So here we have the downdraft section of the 3,000 meters. So for this part, the wind will be pushing you down, which affects your ability to hold on to walls, affects your jump height. It's probably like it's my least favorite part of this chapter. Well, other than 1,500 meters.
For me, the entire 3,000 meter section is probably one of my most fun gameplay parts in this entire game. I just love to play through this, but with pressure of a speed run, I hate it when I get stuck on some parts. But yeah, the gameplay I really love in this section.
Now you see Chocolate going into the updraft section, where the wind is blowing up. Madeline is more floaty in this part. Jumps higher. You get the point. Hopefully.
Yeah, and it feels even more impactful after the downwind section. Like, you get pushed down so much, and now you can jump way higher. It feels like, oh wow, now I can jump up to the space, literally. It's very interesting game mechanic. Like, I never saw this in another game. Like, it in that way. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating that the game is good, but in the game it's actually really good. Yeah, he's failing a little bit here and there. He has a hard time, but yeah, it's the final part of the game. What do you expect? Do you expect like very easy gameplay? No, it's still hard. This game is for casuals, very hard, and in the speedrun there are some tough spots as well. There Chocolate tried to, or attempted for a little skip. he's going for it the second time. So with the upwards wind, you can jump around these spikes without going for the one jewel on the left side. And he's having a hard time with it, so yeah, now he's going for the jewel.
Yeah, he's just going for it the intended way.
Also, one thing about checkpoints, you can technically skip them to save a few seconds at some places, but if you do so, you won't respawn at them, obviously, so it can be very costly.
So the checkpoints that I usually skipped are, I think, 10, and here we're skipping 8.
Yeah, that are the most skipped one, and the 5th one is also mostly skipped, because you will respawn there anyways, even if you don't touch it. But yeah.
The
Meanwhile,
fifth one is just
Warhammer-
there for show. And we have
Warhammer
Warhammer
is now-
going into the 1,000 meter section.
And actually, he's on a really good pace. Like, he can technically get in sub 1 hour if he's playing well from now on to the end. But we will see. He's missing that switch there.
Either way, if he doesn't have a new uploaded, like not uploaded PB, this is going to be a really big PB for him. Chocolate now on the final checkpoint.
Yeah, the final checkpoint is like very easy till the end. And as I said, he just died. I'm so sorry.
Way to go!
Oh, not again. Like, honestly, I think I didn't die there in a casual playthrough as well, and in a speedrun I also never died there so far. So, the gameplay from the last flag till the end is not that hard, but...
You know, this would have been sub 48 if you just hadn't said anything.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, like... Yeah, now I'm getting blamed again by chat and stuff.
48:09, that's a pretty good time.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes slower than his PB, even with very, very safe and slow strat. So probably going to get an interview with him. That would be very cool. So we can talk about what his idea of this run was. Yeah, that would be really neat. So GG's to Chocolate for his win in this race. So there he is in the channel, but he's muted yet, so...
Hello.
There we go. Hello, so yeah, GG first of all to your run.
Thank you.
How are you feeling after that run? It was a very interesting run to commentate and to watch.
I feel quite bad. That was absolutely terrible. Like I made lots of mistakes.
Wow.
I died twice at flag 1. It's not
Yeah.
good.
It seems like you went for very slow, very safe strats, but still died on very stupid places. I don't know how to explain it or to sum it up, but
I'm bad at the game.
we expected something way different from you in terms of strats and stuff.
I mean, like in the early game, I felt like I was doing very badly, so I tried to take the rest of it slowly, but it still didn't work. I was still making lots of mistakes. I'm not sure what was going on. I was just really bad today.
Yeah, sometimes you have just a bad day. It's very normal as a speedrunner. So, besides all that bad parts we just saw, like, you were 3 minutes off your PB as far as I think and know.
Yep.
Is that right?
Just about 3 minutes yet.
What do you think was the best part still in this run?
I feel like the battle and fight actually went pretty well. Like, that was one of my best battle and fights.
Yeah, I also think so. Like, you got really no problems there. Maybe Damocrafter has some another question for you. If not, I can take over that again.
Nothing that I can really think of. But you haven't asked yet.
Is there probably like any chapter you in particular like in the speedrun or casually? Like what's your favorite chapter, for example?
My favourite one's probably Summit. Summit's quite fun. I didn't have a good Summit today, but it was still quite fun to do. I like the 1,000 meters part of it with the dream box. I think I managed to do that today without touching the ground at all, which is very nice.
I actually have to admit that I'm so sorry that because I commentator cursed you 2 times on the on the last flag. Like you died there 2 times. I was just saying a second before. Yeah, the last flag, it's very easy to get to the end, and then you just died at the same moment. I was like, oh shit.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, the chat is already blaming me, I think.
That's fine.
I'm probably still blaming you.
So yeah, is there probably something else you wanna say to the chat, to Speed Gaming or whatever?
Not much apart from I had to apologise for my terrible gameplay.
I think, like,
Warm him going
actually,
to the auto scroller skip. And
yeah, he's such, like, his PB is 116, and he's going for so many crazy strats like top runners would do. That's crazy. I think so. I argued, I talked about this a little bit in the run. So I was thinking about that. You know that your opponent is a more newer runner, so you took a safe route, but actually it was just because of you felt not so comfortable. Is that right?
I don't know. Like, I was trying to go for PB, but I just kind of messed up a lot of the times when I thought I wouldn't mess up. I don't know. Maybe I didn't practice for right process. I don't know.
I was also thinking about, like, you were trolling at some parts, but I don't know. It's like some screens look very trolly to me, how you done that.
No, I'm just bad at the game. I'm just bad at the game.
So yeah, I think if Diamondcrafter or you has, oh, he got the skip there.
Took him a while.
Very nice one.
But
yeah,
it's still impressive that he got it.
Yeah, true. So I don't know if we have to clean up that channel now for the next race, or if we are about to see the entire race. But if there's nothing else from you two guys, I think that at least the interviews are about to get done. So yeah, we're just figuring out if this run is going to get finished. So yeah, he's just about to entering 2,500. There we go. Yeah, so far. One thing I didn't mention, go follow both runners, even though we're not able to finish the entire run. Like, Shockkolate is actually a good runner, but he just, as he said, played terrible. And Wormham is a new runner to go for crazy strats and get them somehow. Like, that's crazy. He's already an inspiring person for me, so give him a follow as well if you like his game plan and gameplay so far. I have a hard time to like commentate right now. Diamond Cross looks like he has also a hard time. So we just try to, or at least I try to commentate what he's doing. So yeah, or if he goes now for that skip, he's just a... He's so sick, honestly. Why is he going for those tricks? I don't get it.
Well, he got that strat there.
If he now
And
goes for
got
door
the
skip,
first door skip. Oh no!
oh, please, stop! I don't wanna. I'm getting impressed by this player all the time, but wow.
Yep.
Okay, no, this guy has nuts. Like, oh, it's. And now the last screen of the 2000, nice save, 2,500 meter section. So now in the last part of the game, there's a very slightly chance that he can get sub 1 hour. If not, anything like sub 150, sub 1.5 is very doable for him and would be also a huge achievement and goal for him, I guess. So far doing really good in the 3000 meter section, and yeah, his gameplay is wow. He's not dying that often, that's good. He's just getting through it nice and smoothly.
Why did he have to say something?
Because it's my job as a commentator, but as soon as I say something positive about him, he's about to die. I'm feeling so sorry for every runner. Like, I love commentating so much, but whenever I commentate, there's somebody going to die because of me. So yeah, Diamond Crafter, can you take over this? Because I don't want to commentate the custom anymore.
You just say what they're doing and, like, don't predict anything.
Like, Dare didn't predict anything. He died by himself. Yeah. Now at the last part of the downward wind section, now entering the upward wind section. Fun gameplay is about to start. And yeah, he's still in a good pace. And as I said this, I'm already regretting it, because if he dies now a lot, it's all my fault again. But let's hope he does not happen.
That was him messing up, not you.
Actually, commentator curse is a true thing, I realized throughout this tournament. Very nice
jumps to save himself.
Yeah, it was a very nice save. He, like, that's also something that, like, separates good runners from very good runners. Like, the ability to save, because this game is built for mistakes, and if you are able to save, like, slightly mistakes without dying, it's, you will get a lot of, like, out of it, especially in a tournament where you can't just reset. So yeah, it's a very important ability to have in a tournament. And Wormham just did very well there with that save. I think he did an early and also very decent save. I was about to say, so that's one of the harder parts, but so far it's going good. Luckily I didn't, because otherwise he would have died probably. Yeah. Now entering the 11th flag part. Also very long, but he's doing great. Getting the checkpoint. Going on. This part is also hard, like this dash is somehow tight. This part is really hard. Like that's my least favorite. Oh, not my least favorite part, but my demon. I have a hard time with this, especially when I started.
Clearly, Warmham also has a hard time with that. This is actually a pretty good pace for Warmham here.
Yeah, don't curse it.
I'm not trying to.
So now entering the last part of the summit, of the climb. He can do it. Is the Twitch chat giving him energy? No, he's not. Twitch chat, please. Count down with us, like 4. I hope the Twitch chat has energy. Energy. Oh no, he dies. My energy is bad for him, so I stop counting. I love chocolate in the chat. 3.
So close,
Wow,
yet so far.
He's doing. He did that wall jump. That dude is crazy. No. I would. Unfortunately, we're going to have no interview with him, but I would love to have one because this guy is crazy.
Absolutely insane. 2. Oh no!
We just like maybe we should get silence for the last part so he can get his sub
A
1.5.
moment of silence for him.
There we go, so I've just finished. Very well done. So that's a huge PB. Unfortunately, we are not about to get an interview with him. But yeah. We have to head over to the next race. Selnas, who already joined us, is going to commentate that one. And yeah, my name is Flash177 and Diamondcraft is right next to me. And yeah, give these two guys a follow, especially Warmham. He just go for so many crazy things. I have to follow this guy, honestly. This guy is crazy. So yeah, we head over to the next race. I have to go, and Diamondcraft I think too, but Xenos is here for us. So yeah, bye, and stay tuned, because I think the next race is going to happen here as well, on this channel. So bye.
Bye.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zelnis, or Zelnis TV. I am here to commentate Relvoy and Mr. Ike. Relvoy already 2-2 in his groups. This is Mr. Ike's first match. And I'll be here for the next 2 races. So this one and the one directly after it. Then I have to get ready for the ALTTP Open Weekly, which is going to be restreamed on Speed Gaming today. I'm not sure which channel. You can check that at speedgaming.org/schedule, where you can check out all the schedules for all of the tournaments this year, or sorry, this week, today. You can even see in the future what possible matches there are going to be. And we are now moving forward. We are live, and everyone, I wish you the best. Get your Heias and number counting ready, because we're going to be back climbing the mountain. And here we go. So first thing you're going to notice is that in the intro, they're actually going to attempt to jump as much as possible. The reason being that it's just a little bit faster than walking normally. You're seeing that, so they also have to do a little bit of climbing, which is another mechanic in this game. You do have climb stamina, which gets recharged whenever you land on the ground for, like, I believe it's like 8 frames. And we were just introduced to the main mechanic of the game, which is dashing. So dashing is how we will do the majority of our movement in the speedrun. There are multiple tricks, and we're going to start right away. So one bit that you need to know is that there's no speed cap in Celeste. Your character can move as fast as the momentum pushes you forward, and this chapter is going to introduce you to a lot of that. There's a lot of momentum tricks in this chapter. You're going to see them get used here. But we're going to first see jump dashes and hypers, which is basically dash into the ground and jump off of it, and you will propel yourself forward with dash speed in the air for a certain amount of time. So essentially, it extends your dash. Now, if you dash into a wall, you can get even if you dash into and then off of a wall, you get even more speed. And you're going to see here that there's a little bit of a mishap there. These levels are quite demanding of our runners. Now, the first chapter's mechanic, you're seeing it now, are these conveyor belts that the runners are going to use. And those conveyor belts will essentially give Madeline momentum as she moves. So if she is on it and dashes or jumps, you're going to move forward in that direction with the speed of the block itself. It's actually really neat. So you're going to see that used quite a bit. In fact, that's the intended way to do that room, but instead we just use a jump dash. And we're going to see a few more supers. Oh, and just missing that a little bit. Trying to get around this block with a wall dash. And gets through. First one to the top, to the monument, is Mr. Ike. Relvoy having a little bit of an issue with this room. One interesting thing is that these spikes are actually not as deadly as you'd think. Oh, and we're actually seeing here on Relvoy's side, he climbed that wall by doing neutral wall jumps. If you are wall climbing, you normally drain stamina, even if you're wall jumping up. But if you, like, jump away from... If you jump into a wall and then, like, mash the other direction jumping away from it, you won't lose any stamina and you'll gain just a little bit of height each time. So that's called a neutral wall jump. Now we're getting introduced to dream blocks, which are a lot of people's favorite mechanic in the game. They just feel really satisfying to use. So you dash through them, and you get shot through to the direct opposite side based on where you dash. So you're seeing that get used here. You can also jump out of dream blocks and get a little bit of distance, sort of like a wall jump. They're called dream jumps. And you're seeing we're gonna try to be in the dream blocks as little as possible because they do control. And you're gonna see here that you'll sometimes see them do diagonals. But if you hit a wall while like going through, you will die. It will crush you. So you can't dash into a wall using a dream block. Oh, missing that! Woo! Made that room a little bit harder than it needs to be. We're also introduced to Battleline here, who's like kind of the main villain or main enemy of the game. And she is going to copy our movements in this stage. She'll do other things throughout, but in this stage she's going to just copy our movements. And there's the little deaf secret that was added in a patch. Well, waiting for the battle lines. That was a safe shot there from Mr. Ike. And the final dream block screens here, you're gonna see like how cool it is to just kind of dash through them. Meanwhile, Relvoy is going through. And then this is Awake, which is one of the hardest segments in the entire game for most people. Well, it's the most technically demanding section of the game. There's just a lot of little divots, like you saw here. He got caught. Like, you can get caught on walls very easily here. It's just like going straight in this game is actually pretty complicated. And we are now into the cycle-based area resort. So resort, you're gonna see there's these little puff balls, dust bunnies. Ooh, that's okay because keys follow you in this game. You'll see these little dust bunnies. They move at the same way every time you enter a room and every time you die. So they'll always start in the same position and always move at the same speed. There's no RNG in their placement. There's no global cycles to worry about. It's all room-based cycles. But if you die, the cycle does change because your position in the room and like a bunch of things. But it is very consistent. This game is extremely consistent. There's virtually no RNG in this run. In fact, I don't think there is any RNG in Celeste. Not that I can think of anyway. Nothing that's like run endings. This game just is really takes the amount of time and effort you spend in it and just like multiplies it more so than I think most games do. This game was also created from a speedrunning standpoint. Like, this game was developed with speedrunner in mind, but not in that like, hey fellow speedrunners, how can I make my game cool to you? It was more in just like the developer wanted to see people be paying, and that's why he added an in-game timer, a very accurate in-game timer, down to the 3rd millisecond, which is very useful. Now, this is called Bid Mess, so it's one of the few sections of the game where there are multiple quote-unquote solutions. So you can go through this in multiple ways, and our runners are going to be doing the route that spits them out closest to Oshiro, who is the ghost caretaker of the resort in this game. And he just kind of, let his hotel kind of hit a rut. Turns out most people don't go to creepy, super spooky mountain place. That's not a place people go very often. The movement in Bid Mess is actually very difficult. Bid Mess is very tight compared to most areas in the game where there's a lot of open space. In fact, this entire area is a little bit more claustrophobic than the rest of the game. So you'll find that you just don't have as much air clearance over things, and that plays into the game a little bit. In the this game tries to evoke feelings with level design and sound and music and writing. This game is a very emotionally charged game. There are a lot of people who, oh no, retry instead of skip cutscene is a thing that happens. Oh, again, actually, it's the 2nd time. That's very unfortunate. Luckily, you always get set back to the start of the screen, with the exception of Chapter 7's 3,000 meters. And water is also very interesting. You can kind of jump on top of water in this game. It's quite neat. And we see Relvoy is actually picking up a little bit of pace here. Is actually only behind, unless he took a different order in Bid Mess, is actually only behind by a little bit here. Catching up a little bit. Oh, didn't hit the last key switch. That's the 2nd time Mr. Ike has missed the key switch by a tiny bit. But yeah, they're both Mr. Ike is just a few rooms ahead. And using his bounce there to gain a little bit of extra. So you see, like, when they dash into walls and jump off of them, like, they go really far. So, oh, hitting the mess there. The death cycle here is actually a lot harder. So he's actually going to reset the room because that's how much harder the death cycle is in that room. Yeah, having just a little bit of trouble. Again, like, this area gives a lot of trouble. That was an intentional reset. That was not a cutscene that Mr. Ike accidentally reset. But it looks like now it's just like 2 rooms ahead. Well, very clean from Relvoy. Very clean T. And now we've made Oshiro very angry. Well, we didn't, but our other Madeline did, Madeline. She has insulted Oshiro's place, said that he is worthless, and now Oshiro wants to end our lives. Relvoy just a couple screens behind in the resort boss fight. Oh, having to dodge there. And unfortunately, so one thing that doesn't really come relevant is there's a lot of one-wayness to this level. There's little fuzzy things on the ground. And at this point, Relvoy has actually caught up. Oh, they're actually on the same room. Both of them in a little bit of issue. Very close there on Relvoy. Mr. Ike making it through the lawn dash. Just a room apart right now. Oh no! Gets sniped at the very end of the big dash. And now having to do the death cycle here. Oh! The resort has some very long screens in this fight. These screens are longer, and that is actually Relvoy in the lead. Now, this game is in-game time, so you have to keep that in mind, but yeah, Relvoy is ahead by about 10 seconds in game time. Relvoy is picking up steam. And so in this chapter, this is there's a wind that you now have to contend with, and these bubbles. These bubbles propel you in a direction that you're choosing for a short distance. You can actually dash out of them. You actually also dash in them, and I think it moves you faster. There's a lot of use of key doors. There's also these clouds that you can jump off. They're kind of hard to use. You have to jump at a specific time. There's some neutral wall jumps for you. And taking the long way in the auto scroll here, which is totally respectable. That is a little bit of an annoying room. The speed and gets the stip there, gets the auto scroller stip. That one's much more important to get. Relvoy keeping pace here, but Mr. Ike not far behind. Is he gonna stip the auto scroller here? It looks like he is going to try. This is a much harder stip and doesn't save as much time. There it is, and we're gonna see Mr. Ike. Oh, unfortunately, miss it, and you only... Oh, never mind. You actually have 2 chances. I think that used to be a full block. I'm not sure, though. But now you can retry that. Yeah, this has a lot of little stips that save just a little bit of time here and there. Primarily to save time on auto-scrollers, because nobody wants to do an auto-scroller. And as you traverse through this level, you're going to notice that the wind is getting stronger and stronger. And it will only move in horizontal directions in this stage. But the wind is slowly getting harder and harder, and it will get to the point where it will actually be impossible to move forward without dashing. Or at least make any meaningful progress forward without dashing. Using the momentum from that block to kind of get ahead. Can't skip the whole auto stroller, but if you do that, then you save a little bit of time. And you don't risk the block from, you don't risk the arrow block from breaking. Very clean though from both runners right now. Very good chapter 4. And seeing we are now in Harsh Wind, which is the wind I was talking about earlier. You cannot really move forward. The wind is blowing very strongly. Taking it safe in that room, Relvoy. Very good. The Harsh Wind music is very cool because I love the tune change. It's very peaceful and serene until you hit Harsh Wind. And then Harsh Wind just, oh, sniped by the snowball. Wow, that snowball came out of nowhere. I don't think Relvoy knew he was on that cycle there. There's no RNG. That ball will always come in the same intervals every time. And will always come from the screen, always move at the same distance. But wasn't in the right spot. If you move the same way every single time, that snowball will always be in the same spot. So... the nice thing about these balls is they actually refresh your dash just like the crystals do. And that is a crazy good story cutscene, by the way. The end of Summit is my favorite scene in the entire game. I think it's the scene that made me fall in love with the game, as I think many people. Relvoy TV has a small little break you could see there. He didn't move forward just as quick. Probably wiping his hands off. He's in the lead, though. He is in Mirror Temple, Chapter 5. Mirror Temple is sort of a it's much more open as far as a casual standpoint. We obviously know where we have to go to beat the game, but there's a lot of hidden pathways. I mean, heck, the way to get through is a hidden pathway. The game is just like nuts in that way. Like, some of this stuff doesn't even feel like you should be doing it, but this is kind of where you have to learn, like, man, I have to do crazy stuff to beat this game, don't I? On top of that, it's so open that you can get lost very easily casually. I've always likened it to like a Metroidvania. We're actually going to do a few both intended and unintended skips in this level. We're going to skip a few parts. Skip a few switches. And right here is the first one. So that skips a key. We need to go around that key. That's a key skip. Soon we're going to... later in the level, in the second part of the level, this level is kind of in 3 sections. The second section of this level will be doing mirror skip. And it goes by very quickly. It's probably the only required thing to learn to speedrun this game. It's not very hard once you learn how to do it. It's just like you just gotta do it. And here's the mirror. We get to play as a Seeker, which are the enemies of this level. Seekers are always going to move towards Madeline by dashing, but we get to control one for a little bit here, which is kind of neat. And then we have to hit ourselves. Madeline wakes up, and now the temple's looking a little creepier. Now, one theme of this game is the characters don't what's it called? A theme of this game isn't mirrors and like your own reflection. And Madeline is a reflection of us, so we are in the Mirror Temple. So we're basically in her home in a way. moving through this area. One thing we're going to see is that Seekers can actually hit switches for us, which is very interesting. And we can use them to save time. You know, Mr. Ike, I think, is catching up here. Not really. Well, he's getting there. He's not super far behind. And that's Mirror Step. So we basically... So, a mechanic I didn't really explain very well in this yet is the fact that in Celeste, spikes only deal damage to you when you like move into them. But you can jump. There's like some frames where you can jump before you're technically on the spike. If you're not like pressing down or pressing towards a spike. If you're pressing away, you can actually hit away from them, and that's how you get through there. You do a hyper, and then you jump off the spike really quickly, and you can get through there. And now we have part 3 of this chapter, which is Leo. Leo the Crystal. We have to move him through here. We're going to use a combination of him and us to hit switches. And Seekers will try to get in our way. We can jump on Seekers to get a little bit of height. The thing is that we move very slowly with him. We're also going to play basketball with him and hit some switches. He's very happy when you do that. Leo, I mean. And that was very good. Leo can also hit crystal switches for us, too. Whew. Almost lost. You can't progress without Leo. Oh, Theo. Oh my gosh, I've been seeing Leo this whole time. Theo. I don't know what came over me there. And if Theo dies, then you die too. But I don't think there's any pits. Oh yeah, there are pits. So if Theo dies, you